Hey everybody, Eric Meyer. Super stoked about this video. Should help you learn GSum, or in track attack speak, it's called total acceleration. It's the same thing, very similar to the apex score, which is different, but it's kind of the same. So let's get started. We're going to work up to this. I'm going to build a foundation, and I'm going to suggest to you that everything that I do is based on experience of how people learn, new to data people that aren't mechanical engineers and automotive folks and folks that look at graphs all the time or have been looking at graphs and sort of data for a long time. This is a foundational method that I'm going to show you that when you do it, it's really easy to learn this stuff, and it's really easy to build a foundation to build from it. So I'm going to start with the speed channel up here, right? This is a Gingerman lap, and it's GPS speed. Remember, I always do this, right? There's the y-axis, there's the x-axis, right? We're over here at start finish going this way if you're new to Gingerman, right? I'll put the cursor right down here so we can see that. Look at the track map on the far right. See that? Okay. So the first thing we do, remember, is that we always look at the speed trace. And in this case, right, we're up here. We're GPS speed trace right there. So I'm just going to go down through here, and I'm going to show you some things that I want you to be able to see also. Okay. And the first one, I see oh, I kind of missed it there. Do you see this little guy that looks like this right here? It's coming down here, and there's something going on right here. It's a little bend. Looks like it's about right here. And it might look tiny when I say this, but this is the kind of stuff you're looking for. So let's put our cursor there, right? And we can see that that's over in here. I'll put the cursor back there. Look at the track map on the far right. See, that's probably a downshift, I'm guessing. And we can't really tell that in the speed trace. We'll be able to look at it more when we add the long longitudinal channel. Okay, let's keep going. So I'm just kind of going down here with the speed trace. I see something here in the braking, a kink right here. Do you see that? See a little guy right here? These aren't bad. They're just things I want you to notice, right? I see this as well. I see kink, kink. Do you see that right there? I want you to see that. All you're doing is you're looking for small things and to ask questions right there, right? You see a shift right here, which means there's a shift over here. Here's a shift right here. See that all across the board? Like looks at 70 miles an hour right there. We got a shift. Okay, and we come up here. I see some interesting indecisiveness right here. But when he does go to brake, it's pretty solid, pretty strong. Take a look where that's at. Aha. So if I look at this point right here and I look over on the track map, right, we can see that right here. So we're going around a corner. We should see something in lateral G's there that we can dig up. Also see this really nice, there's a little bend right here. Do you see that? Let's see if I can draw it better. It's a kink right here. We see a punch and a hold, then a break, right? I forgot to mention this over here, the slowest corner on the track, right? And then we go up here and we're going to, oh, look at this. We see something interesting. Sort of looks like this. Let me do that again. Again, we're looking at shapes. You think about this for a second. We're braking a little more, we're holding, then we're braking some more. All right, let's find out where this is on the track. All right, I'm going to go over here. Aha! Ooh, yeah. Okay, you also see some neat stuff, right? We're just looking at what's going on. This one looks like opportunity. Here's a little double pumper, right? Show you that again. Go right there. Might be easier to see, right? It's a roll down here and a kink, right? And hesitation. It's not a real pretty, what might be a U. Big shift, right? Let's see where this one is on the track map. Aha, interesting. We're gonna learn more when we weave in this GSum, or total acceleration. First, we're going to add long. Okay, so this is what we did. We just went around the track. This is the best lap for this particular outing, the session. Picked this at random. It's got some good stuff and bad stuff. Purpose here isn't the purpose is to show you how total acceleration, or GSum, works, so you can interpret it and use it to your benefit. Okay, we're going to add longitudinal. That's the, you remember me, this is what I like to say. These two right here, in my opinion, make up 80% of understanding data. Speed and long. Speed and long. Okay, so we're going to see what our feet are doing, right? So we're going to weave this in a little bit, and we're going to go around the track, and I want to see what's up here. Okay, we're looking at the whole lap. Oh, I forgot to look all the way down here. Sorry, I cut that off. Take a look at that. So this would be the last corner, which is here. And so what we have here is probably, most likely, traffic. See, if we take our cursor down here and look at the track map, we come out, and for whatever reason, we hammer it, and we got a lift. And that's such a giant thing, guys. That's obvious going to brakes. And you can easily see that right here. All right. Giant. Right? Is that making sense? And if you look right above it, just to remind you, that's what correlates to this. And when it starts going up from here, that's up from here, right? Just showing you things that should be a reminder to you. If what I just said you are learning for the first time, go back and study this more. I got 20 videos just on what we did here. Do it again. Use your favorite track. Send me your own data, and I'll do it for you, because people learn more quickly, and they hear differently, and they see differently, and they internalize it differently when it's your own data. When you look at somebody else's, it doesn't register like it's your own, because there is a mental and psychological connection that I know I'm getting deep on you, but I'm telling you this is true. There's a mental and psychological connection when you look at that data that's yours, and your brain says, what's going on there? What's going on there? What's going on there? And with enough practice, you can do it with other people's data. It's usually easiest to do it with your own first, because your brain is, I will suggest to you, your brain is trying to bridge those connections of what's happening on track, from these lines to what's happening on track. In other words, your brain's going, what was it? What is that? What am I doing? What is this? Right? And that's very normal until you start putting it together. And this is why I like to take this result up here and connect it to this right here, right? Which is our feet. And this is the throttle. And this is off throttle with some brake, which is right there, right? For whatever reason, it doesn't answer the whys. It shows us the what's right here, which is right here, which is right here, right? Literally a gigantic lift, a little bit of a brake. Let's see what that is. That's a monster lift. And then back to some throttle, setting the ass end. I'll tell you a little bit more of that later. So, okay, so we're going to go around the track again, and we're going to make these correlations, right? And in this case, right, we're doing a big old handful of throttle from, this might even be, it's probably third gear, right? Then we come into the corner, and here's where we're braking, right? I'm going to show you something right here. This thing, based on what I'm guessing, this thing, based on what I'm guessing, is probably this little bend right here. And that's happening in a manual transmission. I'm pretty sure this car is a manual transmission. transmission. Do you see these tiny little connections? I want you to see this right here. I want you to see this right here. That little bend right there. I know it's tiny, but this is how you see things. I'm just going to draw a straight line as best I can all the way down there. Look at that. That's a decrease in stopping, right? Down low would be stopping and a lot, and up here, this direction is stopping less. This is probably another one right here. This is telling me this is an opportunity for heel toe in this driver, just based on those two, and 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 I know that just because I've seen this a lot, and the magnitude of that dude is uh, is quite large, and we would see it in this other stuff as well. Look at that, the end of the braking effort. There's one. Looks like there's one. That's going to be something different right there. But I'm going to guess that there's opportunity for that. Might be gear selection. It might be gearing. It might be, hey, I love the downshift. I kid you not. People do that. If you got fancy mufflers, you're like, oh, I want to hear my mufflers. Hey, vroom, right? Doesn't make you fast. Okay. And most of it's technique. Shoes is very helpful. So is bending the pedals, especially if you have metal arms down there. Get your little torch, heat the arms up, bend them so you can easily get your right foot backwards and forwards, or side to side rather, to make it easy. This is how the pros do it, right? If your foot fits in the middle between your accelerator and brake, dude, move it. That's not a technique you have to master. Make it easy for you. Okay. So let's go back up through here. We see this right here. See where it correlates? Right down here. Look at that. Where is it on the track? Right there. That's a big old shift. That's a big old shift, or somebody's in front of them, and I'm pretty sure that's a shift. It might even be... Let's go over here to the track map. Let's find out. So where is that? Right there. That's past track out. Oh, take that back. That might be that rumble area on track out. I think it's kind of hard to see. See this area right here? I'm gonna guess based on that shitty GPS photo that whole silver area that looks like it starts here and ends here is the goofy track out at Gingerman, just because I know that. So let's take a look and put that. No, he's farther down. See that? That's pulling a gear. If it was back here farther, it might be, oh wow, I'm lifting because I'm going to go off track. But that's a shift. We're throttled down. We're taking off. What else do we see here? I see a. I'm going to compare these two, and there's an explanation for this. See how this slope is about that angle, and see how this slope starts rolling over? Well, that corresponds with this acceleration going down. So it's safe to say that driver is, let's go back here, that driver in that area is not able to go full throttle because of the roundness of both this, right, the top of that, and this right here. For whatever reason. We're not saying this is good or bad, right? This is not what data is. It's just telling us something. I also see this right here, right? We mentioned this earlier, where it kinks like this. We'll go straight down, and we're looking in this whole kind of braking area. Even some of this as well. It looks like more like the second half, right? If we put our cursor right here, where the peak brake pressure is, all the way down here. Not, excuse me, the peak decel. Looks like we're going right up here. it's usually in kind of the center of this range. It's never down here, and it's never down here. It's like once the nose of the car pushes down, which you can do that rather quickly in a straight line in most cars, especially if it's fast, in a straight line. And as soon as you get into it, this is like where you're really pushing on the pedal. That's where you see these lower values down here. And if we do that, we see that again. See that? It's kind of like 1/3. Let's do that right here. All right. See that? Where that peak is located? Just so that you see the observations. Okay, we're going to go back to here. And we're going to go, this is where the GSum gets really important that you'll see. So I'm going to open this up. We can see right here that this is the minimum speed on the corner right here. So we'll put our cursor right there, right? And we can see right here at that point, two things happen. From here forward, speed's going to go up, and it corresponds to the acceleration. And then the speed, and then it's flat, and then it goes down, right? And that down kind of corresponds to right there. Relatively big braking. So there is some right here to accelerate, to brake again. I don't really like that. I know that corner, there's either traffic there or it's something else up. But even if I didn't know the corner and you live in southeast U.S. or the northeast U.S. or anywhere on the west coast and you don't know this track, you need to be able to go, hey, what's this right here? And why does it look like this? Could it look like a traditional corner? Just coming down in here, right, and doing this. Why the double pumper, right? Why this brake, and then a punch, and then a brake again? So it's a question, right? It's a question, and the GSum will help us see this a little bit more. I see some insane amount of acceleration coming out of here. 0.4 longitudinal G's, which makes me think that this was either traffic or we're totally overslowing right there. Totally overslowing. GSum and Lat G's will tell us more about that. This makes me think this might be maybe traffic related because right here it's flat, which is pretty unique. However, this might be this because of the shift, right? And we know that shift because we're going to go all the way over here, and here's another one at that same point. Are you seeing these correlations? Say yes. Are you seeing these correlations? Guys, I'm here to teach. Are you seeing that? Which is that? Which is that? Are you seeing that? You need to. You need to see that. Okay, it's should be second nature. Okay, I saw something here very briefly. I haven't looked at this data before, to be honest with you, 100% honest with you. I saw something here that was total red flag, total opportunity, and it's usually the place that I see opportunity at the track. Every track has one or two, maybe three places that I know to go to right off the bat where everybody's leaving it on the table, including myself. And it's where I go. It's kind of the low fruit area to look at. So here's what I'm going to see down here. I'm going to see we're coming down here. Looks like we trail off, right? And we go to throttle right here. No, excuse me, come off brake. Then we go to brake again for some reason, right? And we're looking at this through here. So let's figure out where we're at on the track. And we can see over here, there's a corner entry. And if you look at this type of corner, I'm going to blow this up a little bit. I want you to think about this for a second. I know you haven't been there, but if you think about it, this is a corner if you look at it, you're like, at some point, you got to go on the throttle, right? It's coming around here. And we'll go to the speed and we'll say, that's 61 miles an hour right here. I'll put the cursor back on there, 60, right? So we know we're going about that fast. We know that when we put the next channel on here, Lat G's, we'll see how many Lat G's that we're pulling, right? This is one of these, no doubt, and you should be able to see this and understand this and go, this looks like one of those corners where you add throttle and you got a lot of wheel in it, and you take wheel out and then you start adding more throttle, add throttle, no, and then you got to figure out how to do the same thing and bend this around here. So it's one of those where you're dancing on the throttle and the car's in lateral load. And if we look at the speed trace, we can kind of see that it doesn't do the traditional, right? Gas and brake, right? It's doing this from right here, right? Even this to right here, the brake zone. So we're going to go from here to here. And you can see it right here, right? One brake or something, right? One little brake. Not sure. Gas. Looks like we're maintaining the. We're playing with the throttle right here. Do you see this? And you can put 2 and 2 together. So here's our cursor, right here. That's over here. We're in the middle of the corner. We're going 75 miles an hour. It's not unheard of to be on the gas and to be playing with the throttle for the rear end. Does that make sense? That's just a what. It's not why. It doesn't tell us anything. There's some little brake right here. Let's find out what's happening right here, because we actually see the speed trace go down. So my gut's telling me, for whatever reason, there's a bunch of opportunity in here. By the way, this is where I normally find time for people. Okay, so let's go. Let's go back into here, which is here. We're going to look at this. We're going to say, where are you at on the track? Right here. About in the middle. And this looks like it's the, oops, sorry about that. Move that around a little bit. Back there. Again, we're right here in the middle of all that longitudinal back and forth. And that looks like it's in kind of in about here, right? So chances are, and I'll bet you $1 million, that guy's manipulating the throttle, right? He's not braking, right? Because we're not below here. He's just playing with the throttle, right? That's his throttle foot. Making sense? Say yes, Eric. You're an excellent teacher. Thank you. We learned so much. Okay, what else do we see here? Doing a little recap. We started right here, right? We added this, the big 2 of the big 3. I got 1 million videos on the big 3, guys. If you're not getting this step right here and the connection between these two, watch them. There's a ton of them that are from 15 minutes to an hour. This is how you learn stuff. If you're giving up after this video, you'll never get this stuff. If you put 2 to 4 hours in this, you'll be a wizard. Trust me. Those people that stick with this or that I pull along, they get it. It's easy. And it really is. Why do I say that? Because I'm freaking self-taught and it took me years to do this. And I figured out how to teach people in hours. You can be a master of this in days. Okay, really like something right here. Look at this really decisive braking. Right? Boom! Down here, all the way down here. Let's see what that value is down there. 0.82. Ooh, red flag. Why is that a red flag? Guys, why is that a red flag? Think about that. I'm not going to give you the answer. Why is that a red flag? If you answered, hey, that's not very low value, well, you'd be correct. Unless this is raining, and I'm pretty sure this isn't a rain event. And I know this car has ABS because there's a lot of positive big acceleration. 0.4 is really hammering on the throttle. If it was a rain event, it'd be like 0.2, 0.25 acceleration because you'd spin the rear tires. And this is a rear-wheel drive V8 car, manual transmission with some suspension mods. And I think like high-performance street tires are like a mild, very mild compound. I think it's just a really high-performance, ultra-performance street tire, if I remember right. Important to know. But right here, right down there, right there, gigantic red flag. That should be over, especially coming in right here. This is the heaviest brake zone on the track. There's time in the brake zone. We're not getting everything out of the car. Now, maybe there's something up. This is the question I would ask the driver. Hey, what's it like when your car goes to like really threshold braking? That's what that is. If you're an instructor, this is where you practice threshold braking. Hands down. Hands down, hands down, hands down. Okay? Did I say hands down? Absolutely. That's why this value should be so massive. But we're also going 118 or whatever that is right there. Way up there. Oh, look at that. 118, he called it. Good. 2 points for me. Yeah, something's up. So I would ask the driver, hey, what's it like when your car's going to threshold braking? Oh, man, I've been having ABS problems. Ding, ding. I'm hearing that, right? And I'd probably go out with them and say, hey, I want you to come way back here, not at 118. I want way back here at 90, and I want you to go to frickin' full-on ABS. Throw me through the windshield. I want these airbags to go off. We're braking so hard, okay? To help them understand what's going on. There are some people that mistake, very few. There are some people that mistake ABS activation because it's different in every car with a bad mojo, with something's not right. I want to stay with that. Some cars ABS are intrusive. Some of them it's magnificent. Generally, the higher the performance car, the better the ABS. But I don't know. So that would be something that I would ask. Okay. What else do we see? So we're putting 2 and 2 together, right? This is the story that I just shared, that this information plus this information, 80% of, in my opinion, of what data is those two. We're putting a puzzle together. And we're not there yet. We don't even have the whole outside. We're going to add the lateral GPS lateral channel to this right there, right? See that right there? To make the complete big 3 story, right? The big 3 story. And then we're going to add that one right there. Come on, baby. And then we're going to add that one right there to really pull it all together. But you gotta know, you gotta know these 3 intimately. Recommend doing that on your home track, and then start using with your own data, and start using as many tracks as you drive through, even if it's not your data, because you know the track. You can put 2 and 2 together. Remember I said before, you're trying to make that bridge, that psychological and mental bridge between looking at these squigglies, right, and what you're doing in the car. Okay? It's the same thing that you do with video. It's the benefit of video, right? You see when the video camera, by the way, every video camera needs to be over the driver's right shoulder, hands down. If you can't see your hands and you can't see the shifting, it's okay if you don't see your feet, because usually it's dark down there anyways. But if you can't see your hands and in front of you, and you're just doing that cool YouTube out the front of the car, check me out, right? Loser. Yeah, I said loser. This is one of the reasons why all driver development coaches prefer the camera to be in the car, because they want to see what your hands are doing. They want to see, I want to see what's your grip like on the wheel. I want to see, in the absence of a steering rate sensor, I want to see what your hands are doing. Exactly. I want to see how you're shifting. I want to see where your head's turning, where you're looking. All of these things are can be supported by a good in-car wide-angle camera lens over your right shoulder. There you go. Seeing forward out the windshield, that's easy. I mean, you want to know what the driver's doing. That's why we're looking at this, right? Because this is what your feet's doing, and this is the result. Okay, let's jump over here, and we're going to add lateral, our steering, right? And it's just me, but every time I put the lateral on top, the speed in the middle, and the launch on the bottom. It's just me. And I like to get in that routine. Okay, so what do we know here? First thing I'm going to do is we just add lateral, just like we did down here, and more specifically at the big threshold, 118 mile an hour threshold effort, where we're only getting 0.85 or something right here. So I'm looking at maximum values. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And we are going to see that in several cases, we're pulling over a G, which makes me think that when we go right here, we're going to see a G on the lateral, right? Because that's what that is, 1.05, negative 1.05, and only 8.5 in braking. See that right there? And honest 0.4 in acceleration. I mean, maybe 0.4, 0.45, right? It's pretty interesting. I also see this too, right? It's like a pair of underwear. Just kidding. Okay. No, I'm not. So here we are again. And we know we're getting more lat G's than braking. Right? Looks like they're equal on both sides, which is fantastic. Looks like we're getting a lot of lat G's. A plus driver. We also see right here, this is where the steering wheel's going down the straight. Right? There too. There too. Here was that one deal where we were talking about over here. Remember this right here, right? Which was over in here. Remember how we isolated that? Let's go there. I know I got a lot of squiggles, right? There's the wheel. So we're turning, we're loading. Now we're accelerating, and as we're accelerating, look what's going on here. We got to open the wheel. Make sure everybody sees this. We're starting to talk about GSum now. These are trade-offs. I want you to see right here, we're going to analyze that same corner area because I want you guys to see the what, not the why and the how and what's good. That comes later, guys. If you start this, like if you start data analysis like everybody does and go, where do I find time? Where do I find time? You're like, dude, you're ready to move into this house that you're building and there's no roof on it. Chill. You got there's more work to be done. So here we are, back over in here. We got this deal going on, right? Do 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 do. And look what happens as just like the string theory, as we add throttle, right? We're decreasing lat G's. We're opening up the wheel. Does that make sense? And then look here as well. We're going to turn in, and we're going to find out where that turn in point is right there. Right there. See it? It's right in about in here. Right there. As we do that, look, we're coming off the throttle. So that's that string theory that we teach in HPD1, all that foundation stuff, right? You're like, I'll never use that classroom stuff. Well, guess what? You do. Use a shitload of weight transfer. And yes, I said shitload because you do. It's giant. But nobody ever relates it once you get out and go solo. Nobody ever talks about it. Guys, this is what a good coach will do. They'll refer to the fundamentals. This is what I do. I'm kind of good at this. I know that sounds boastful, but you just tie in all these things in together. If we've had video, we'd have video up here, right? And that video would be of, the back of the driver's helmet head, right? Here's the rear view mirror, here's his hand on the wheel, and here's his hand on the shifter, right? And we'd be able to tie all these things together. And when we add this channel right there, it's going to tie them together super duper duper, that total acceleration right there. Right? So this is what data is. It's helping you make a super super bridge. Add sound to this, right? And you have a new sense, audible. This making sense? Say yes. Keep watching. Okay. So something else that's interesting. So I wanted you to see that, and it's going to make sense in a second. Right? We're opening the wheel while we're trading that for throttle. We're going like this. Do 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 do. Probably dancing on the car for whatever reason. We're going to this right here. Now I'm going to say that's not a braking issue, and I want you to see this. This little dip right here is generally the shape of something. When you can see here, we're going 80 miles an hour. And I don't want you to confuse that with a braking effort, this guy right here, because it's not. It's, ready for this? It's 1G of lateral load and probably a light lift. It's wheel scrub, right? And as we can see right here, we know that this is going down a little bit. And that's usually a combination of a steady throttle foot, right? Not adding, not subtracting. It's just tiny little movements and a ton of lateral load, which is why that goes down a little bit. How much? Let's find out. There's 81 and there's 80, right? So we're just talking, that's just 1 mile an hour, right? I want to show you that that's what that looks like. Put this, if you're a note taker, write that down. That's what that looks like. And you need to know, because it's a common effort that people think that that's braking. It's deceleration. It's different. There's no brake pedal involved in this, I guarantee you. There is one here because we're going into a brake zone. Is there one here? Look on the track map for a second. No. Okay. So we just made some correlations right here, right? We made this correlation, the string theory, with this right here. All right, do we see that? Let's see what this is. Here's a lateral load with the dip in the middle and then another end. And look at this. Interesting. There's throttle in the middle here. It's going to go all the way up. See that? Look at that. They're like inversely related. Well, let's put the cursor on the track right there. Interesting. Do we see that up here? It's one of my favorite corners that I always look for where there's time. I'm going to suggest to you where there's time there. Okay, here's what I see. I want you to see this as well. We're going to go right here. Again, remember how I say I usually only go to a couple corners of the track to tell stories? Well, this is one of them. Go where the easy low fruit learning opportunities are. And in this case, it's this corner. So here's what I'd like to see. What I'm seeing right here, and we'll put the cursor right here, as we enter the brake zone, right? I see here we should go back to throttle, but for some reason we can't. and we pause. You see that? And we actually go down a little more, and that's probably a turn-in flare that makes the car go slower, because we're only talking about 52, look at that, half mile an hour. And generally speaking, a braking event with your foot does not decrease the car speed by half hour. It might be a throttle. We don't have a throttle position sensor, but it's what that is. It's flare. So what we did right here is when we turned in this area right here, you're doing 1.1 lateral G's. This thing is spiking from right here. I want you to see this. Right about here. I'm gonna put the cursor right. Actually, I'm gonna try this again. Make this really easy for everybody to see. So right here on the track, right at that line, is the same thing as up here where we start loading up that dude. Do we see that? And then right here is when it spikes again. Let me put that cursor right there again. Right here, okay? So that second one is right here. I'm going to label that number 2 and number 1, right? Here's 1 and here's 2, okay? I want you to see this part right here, that dip. So for whatever reason, we're not using all the tire. 0.7, if you see that right there, 0.7, we're not using all that tire for that whole range. We know the car does 1.1 lateral G's, as noted by the values right here in point number 1 and point number 2, here and here. But we're not using all the tire here. We have traded it for acceleration. My question to you is, could we have entered the corner faster so we didn't have to do all this acceleration and we would have more of this? Instead of accelerating, which is if the reason why you accelerate is because the car can go faster. Well, if you don't break off all the speed on entry, you don't have to accelerate. Therefore, you have more for this, which leads to higher speeds. Right? Let me say that again. If you overbrake, you have to go to acceleration. Acceleration is weight transfer to the rear, which takes weight off the steering tires, which makes it harder to turn, right? You run out of room on exit. You have to lift. You have to go, oh man, I can only go this fast because if I try to go faster, the car doesn't like it. Guys, the name of the game, and we're going to introduce the GSum right now, the total acceleration. The name of the game is to use all the tire that you can. Now, I'm going to make one other correlation. This is kind of advanced, but I think you can handle it. You guys look like a smart group. As we come into this area, here's our braking. And then for whatever reason, we do something wonky again. See that there? Right? And then we go to throttle, and it looks like a handful of throttle. And we go to so much throttle that we have to sacrifice our lateral G's so that we're going 0.7. I think it was 0.75. We want to use more lateral because we're coming out of the corner. We're opening up the wheel and we're giving it some juice. We want to use every bit of the tire. So just hear me out here. Ready? So for this entry, we broke and we went to some Lat G's, and then we couldn't use all the Lat G's. Okay, so I'm going to do this again so that you totally, and I'm going to say that differently too. I'm going to say that differently. I want to break down this process. Um, let's start with the apex. And what you can see right here as some reference appears to be the apex curbing. This is a pretty late apex. I'm putting it out here. Okay. I'm going to put the cursor right on there and say, what are we doing? And what we are doing from just past that, right there, right there, right there, forward, we're going on huge throttle. If we can go to the huge throttle, we probably overslowed. So perhaps this thing could have looked like this. Actually, this thing, I can tell you right now with this thing, I'm going to go right to the answer. Sometimes I get impatient because this is so easy to see once you see it. We probably could have gone a little farther, and we could have done this because we already know there's the late apex. Why we do all of this is kind of beyond me. Yeah, there's a little bit roll to there, but ideally you're using all of the tire all the way to the apex. And you're using all the tire from the apex out, right? We want to use all the tire in the corners, right? From braking to apex, from apex to track out, from track out to accelerate. We want to use every bit of that tire's grip using all the track. Remember that from HPD1, right? Say yes. Okay, here's the connection. Channels. All right, you're going to get blown away here, sports fans. No, I got you. I got your back, yo. Okay, same stuff, right? Recap. We went over this, 50%. We went over this plus another 30. That's 80. 80%. Then we added this steering in for another 20. 100% of our story is here about what the car is doing. Now, let's look at for the opportunity. This is the GSum. Guys, this is advanced, but if you got the basics down, if you know the big three again and again and again and again and again, like you got them down, like you're never wrong, you got them down, this will make sense on the bottom. Now, we're going to go back to our sample corner, and we're going to dissect it again. Okay? Going back to the sample corner. All right? And if you remember, I'll zoom in on it. If you remember, okay, zoom in. Apologies. The beauty of this total acceleration, or GSum, it's all positive. See that? It's all positive. It's all up. Is it marries this value, right or left turn doesn't matter, and this value, braking or acceleration, and doesn't matter. Because what we want to see is the maximum value. In other words, how much of that tire, we know it does 1.1 up here, right? Somewhere it's doing 1.1, looks like right there. 1.1. That means it should have a 1.1 potential. Car's got a 1.1 potential. You might only use the braking in the threshold braking area, that 1.1. Actually, it should be higher. Usually it's a little bit higher in the braking, in the threshold braking area than the lateral, usually. Meaning, if the car can do 1.1 lateral G's, right or left turn, car can usually do negative 1.2 threshold braking G's. That's been my experience. It's a good general rule. It's just tiny. It's like 1/10 more. So what we're looking at here, I'm just going to draw a line about where the 1.1 is. There is the tire's capability. Ooh, looks like we got it there. Ooh, looks like we got it there. Looks like we're nudging right up to it. And look at that one. That's actually looking like this. Okay? Those areas right there are where we're using the tire's potential. Let's put our cursor on there and take a look. I'll zoom out on the track map. Right here, look at the track map. We're not using it here, right? We're not using it here. We're not using it here, which was the same thing as up here. We just talked about this, which is the same thing as the throttle, right? Right? I'm going to do that again. This is where I'm going to go slow for my homies. Going back here. This is literally what I'm doing. I'm walking you down my analysis tricks, my techniques. All right, got one there. Got one there. Barely got one there. Got one in here. And just for fun, I'll say it looks like we got an opportunity right here. So let's put the cursor right there. There we are in the mid corner. Look at the track map. We got one right there. We're using a ton of the tire. Look at the track map on the right. We're using a ton of the tire. And let's go, we're not quite using all the tire right here, right? We can see right here this value. Excuse me, I got my little Wacom tablet, pen tablet. Put that value right here. We're only using 0.93 of that tire, right? And then we're going into a big, slower 50-mile-an-hour corner right here with a lot of lateral load, which is why I put that big dot right here, right? Because it's right there. Big radius 180. Okay? So here's what you want to see. I'm going to keep these dots right here. Just remember that these dots we're going to refer to right now. These are where the tire is loaded and we're using a ton of it, right? And in this case, this is where we're going to throttle. Look at this, interesting. Flat right there. This is almost a zero value. And this is a very high peak value. The formula for total acceleration down here is the GPS lat value squared, which looks like 0.7 times 0.7. So I'm going to do this, 0.7 times 0.7, all right, plus, that's the lat, right there, plus this longitude value, which is right here, plus 0.18 times 0.18. And that equals your GSum, which is also called total acceleration. And in this case, it is, for this math right here, 0.79. So what it says is the amount of, actually, right there. I'll do this again. This, it's sort of hard with the cursor here. This 1.1, so our formula is 1.12. That's what it's going to equal. I'll go back here to the cursor, 1.12. Right here it said 0.6, I think. Negative 0.6, which is fine. So do 0.6 times 0.6. And we'll go up here to this one. It says, looks like 1.09. 1.09 times 1.09. Add those two together, and that's how we come up with the result of how much tire we're using. In this case, 1.12, which we said, wow, we know that that's what the tire is doing. He's using all of the tire right there, right? And in this case, the major contribution is coming from the lateral. Not really here, only a tiny bit, right? Look where we're at in the corner. I want you to look over at the track map right there. And I want you to look before that, and I want you to look after that. Okay? You following me? We know we did 1.1 peak, mostly with lateral, and really nothing with longitudinal. It was kind of slowing down, braking. Not braking, just slowing down. We're going to really dissect this and go in. You ready? This is going to make sense. Where are we braking? Right here, which correlates to right here, right? And this value is what's making this thing go up, right? In other words, this contribution right here is the same area underneath right here. Old school with the crayons, I'm digging it, okay? And then the steering comes into play, right? All along here. And that steering, as it goes down, starts working right here. And the steering really only kind of does this. This part right here is this. Is this making sense? So they're overlapped. The main thing you need to know is there's 1.1 potential, but we're not getting it back here, or here, or here. And as we leave the apex, we already said that that was the apex right there, right? As we leave the apex, it actually starts going down. What we want is to go, how big can we make this sucker and use all of that 1.1? Is this making sense? Say that again. I'm going to tie it all together. Remember I said mental and psychological? Tie it all together. There we are right there. We're at late apex. Look at the track map, please. It's about right here. Late apex. We can see right here that that's about where we're peaking. That is where we're peaking. Peaky boo, right? It also says we're about in mid corner, right? It also says we're kind of playing around with the throttle here. And it also says our maximum total acceleration, we're achieving peak for that tire right here. And I'm going to suggest to you that it's like a spike peak, as opposed to if it looked like this, it would be a sustained peak, because we know the tire does 1.1. Why are we only getting it right here for this little spot? Look on the track map. We're only using the max amount of tire, like from right here to here, right? And then it goes down, and we didn't use it on the way in. Guys, this is the same thing as using all the friction circle, where we're breaking down here to 1.1 or 1.2, and then we're going to go along the outside to this, right? And this is the apex. This is the peak of where we're on the brakes. Peak, right? Where the long G looks like this. Bonk! And it comes back up. That's what this is, right? That's what this is, right? Here's the zero line for the long G, right? You know when you hit the brakes, right? Here's our speed trace. And it goes like this, right? I'm going to rewrite that. Hey, quit that. What's going on? Quit that. Okay. Here's that speed trace again. What's going on? What the heck's going on, baby? Got a great video going on. Here's our speed trace. Right? And we said, right about here is where the peak long G is. Right? That's down here. Okay? And then for whatever reason, we decide to come off and come around. We know that there should be a combination here of 1.1 G's all the way around, but we're not using it right here. Making sense? So here's how we know we're using it or not. When we go to break, remember, we're only going, look at that right there, peak right here. Should be down here, 1, 1. Well, if we're only using some of that, we can't use all of this. This dude should be up here. There's our opportunity. We got to break harder. And I'll suggest to you that when we come off break, right there, it's on the way in. In fact, on the way out, as we start going out, look what happens right here. We know we're not using the, all of the 1.1 as also noted right here. Now, what you want to understand is the more you have to add to this on exit, typically the more you overslowed and the less you can get of this. Wouldn't you like to have this up here? Because it would fill this in more, meaning we'd use more of the tire all the way around. That's how you use GSum. Watch this again. It'll make sense. You got to watch it a couple times. I'm Eric Meyer. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, like, watch the other videos. This is what I'm here for. Send me your data. I'm here to help. I'm here to educate. That's it. I'm out. Peace.